Greetings to one and all, and welcome to Making Sales Social Live. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm here with my co-host, the LinkedIn Whisperer, Bryn Tillman. Bryn Tillman, just in case you couldn't hear that. How are
Hello,
you?
the LinkedIn Sherpa, Bob Woods. I'm excited
Yeah.
for you to guide us today.
Wait, oh yeah, that's a good one. Good one. Because I am playing the part of guide today, which is excellent, especially considering our topic, because we're talking about sales templates, and most everyone out there loves sales templates. And why not? They give us a guide of sorts, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, to help you get to your destination. So today we're sharing not just templates, rather, to optimize your LinkedIn sales outreach, but we're going to share the strategies behind them too. So, you can think about them a little bit. And obviously, when it comes to templates, we always urge customization and putting them in your own voice. It's the exact same thing here, too. Don't take the stuff word for word, put it in your voice because it needs to be in your voice. So, you can likely come up with all kinds of ways to find and engage prospects on LinkedIn. What Brent and I are going to be talking about today are the 5 that Brent and I teach a lot, but
Oh,
it's worth it because they are great. And although we build this as sales outreach, it's really about detaching yourself from the traditional sales mentality, sell, blah, 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 all that stuff, and attaching instead your brain to the engagement and conversation mindset. Engagement and conversation. So, what are your thoughts behind that? Brian?
yeah, so I think that's brilliant. I think that we really need to, as you started to say, detach from what that prospect means to us and attach to what we mean to them. So in our outreach, in our engagement, it is so important that it's about them or what they care about, not about what we want to pitch to them. So that mindset is absolutely critical. The other piece to this before we jump in, I think the other really important mindset is to truly not, it's engaging one on one. So we're talking about these templates, and like you said, customize it to your voice, but also personalize it
Mhm.
to each of those people that you're reaching out. So it needs to feel personal. And the templates that we're doing today are not really personal. So they are a guide of rather than an exact template, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So I do think the other thing to think about, when you're doing the customization and when you're doing the personalization is, imagine yourself like you're at a conference or a networking event or something like that. It's just about treating each person as you would in real life. Now, that being said, I know that I've come up on these people every once in a while at these types of things, and you have too, to where they will immediately go into a spiel, like immediately, like, here's my card. I do this and this. I'd love to be able to help you out. How do you feel about that person when you're approached like that in real life? It's the same type of thing. It's just on LinkedIn now. So don't be that person, I think is probably the best way to say it.
yeah. And we also need, I love all of this. This is so fun. We also need a purpose and a reason that we're reaching out. The reason your reason is you want to prospect them. That is not a
Right.
good context in their perspective, right? No
Right.
one wants to be prospected, right?
Right.
So we have to make sure as we start this outreach and we have these conversations that there's a good context behind it.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
should I start with number one?
Yeah. Let's go ahead with number one. This one I like because it's a really hot area in my opinion, because not a lot of people are doing it, and it's using influencer content, right? Is that what we had decided that we're gonna? I
I
just
think
want to make
this is
sure.
influencer content.
Yeah,
Yes.
influencer content. Yeah, so not a lot of people are doing this. I'm just starting to see it bubble up a little bit from other sales training types, but this is really a really good thing to do.
Well, what first of all, kind of bonus here is you can
Yep.
actually search followers of an influencer. Once you do that, I mean, you can leverage content. But what we're talking about here, just so you I just want to let everyone know they can do that. But what we're talking
Yeah.
about here is if you come across intentionally or not an influencer's post that's engaging your target audience, how do you so and you engage with those commenters and the people that are liking it, typically you're going to, if you want to create a connection with them, you're going to send an invitation to connect. So how do you do that in a way that's in context? So if you've engaged with their comment, if they've reacted, you can't like their like, but you can like their comment. But if they've liked it, you can reach out. Bob, I see we're both fans of influencer. Have you heard her podcast on X, Y, and Z? Let me know if you'd like the link, right? And I can connect with you around a context where I'm giving a gift of influencer content that we both have interest in.
Right. And when it comes to things like this, it's we're offering a gift, but don't necessarily offer it right away. So in other words, don't put the link in at first. Always ask permission, because it looks kind of spammy and it looks a little salesy, even though that's not your intention if you do it like that. Remember, it's about how the other person thinks of the exchange of
Yeah. Oh
the
my God.
conversation.
Perception is so much here. You are so right. And it's we often call it, Bob, we often call it permission based sales, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Right. We're asking permission. So in this case, let me know if you'd like the link is even in like it's permission based. Let's connect and let me know if you'd like the link. This also starts conversation, right? Like when you ask that question or you let me know, they can say they can't get the link unless they say yes, sure, thanks, right? So now we've got a two-way conversation, not just one way. So that's great.
Yep.
Number two.
Numero dos, people who engage with your content. And more than it's, there are a lot of things involved here, but one of the big things just has to do with posting and ghosting and not doing that. So, very few people follow up with the people who are commenting, even though you're putting so much time into that, but you've got other things to do. I imagine that very few people post and ghost on purpose. I can't imagine someone like wanting to do that. But for the people on the commenting on these posts, when they don't get any kind of reply or even just a like from the publisher of that post, it seems a bit rude. Although, again, you're not trying to be rude. We all know that, but yet it does seem rude. So, what are some of the recommendations that we have in these types of situations, Brent?
So one of the things is to prepare before you post with a second piece of supporting content. So if you have a topic and you're talking about X, Y, and Z, make sure there is so maybe you're sharing a post from an influencer, find another post from that influencer. Maybe it's an original piece, and you've got a checklist to back that up. But part of it is being prepared to
Hmm.
engage, right? So it's not just, hey, I want to post and get engagement. I want to post, get engagement, and start conversations with these folks. So one of the ways that we can do that is, Bob, I appreciate you engaging on my XYZ post, right? Whatever that topic is. I have additional insights on ABC. Let me know if you'd like the link. Now, this is a connection request if they're not connected yet, or a direct message if they are already. But
Hmm.
what happens is they've already acknowledged that they like this content. So chances are very high that with that permission-based mindset, that they're going to say, yeah, sure, send it. And now we've got a conversation started.
Absolutely, absolutely. Excellent. So for our next point, we're going to flip that on its head. Engaging on their post, your prospects post. So people share content obviously because they want engagement. So if you react or comment and if you do it the right way, which is to support what they're doing and maybe add a little bit of a spin on your own, they immediately like you. So there are ways to stay on top of your prospects post. One of them is to just visit their profile, scroll down to their activity section, and engage authentically within their posts. Now, another one is to ring their bell. And now that Anita Ward song is in my brain, most LinkedIn, yeah, exactly. Most LinkedIn users don't even know that this ring the bell feature exists, but it's a hidden gem. So let's talk about a little more about ringing one's bell virtually, of course, ringing one's bell.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple to do. If you're already connected to them, the bell is there, you can ring it. If you're not connected to them, you have to follow them and then the bell will appear. And then when you get that notification of content, you're going to click through, you're going to comment, react to it, comment. And by the way, if they have a lot of likes, consider using the insights light bulb or the celebrate clap because you're
Celebrate,
going
yeah.
to stand out even more than just another like. Comment on that and then send that connection request or message to I really enjoyed your post, the post that you shared in XYZ, and they already know you engaged on it, so it's authentic. By chance, is the topic ABC also of interest to you? And if they respond yes, you can then at that point say, hey, I've got a checklist on this. Would you like me to send that over? But it's just a permission based. This is one extra step, but and make sure XYZ and ABC are aligned. Like you don't want like XYZ to be on marketing and then ABC is on telephone systems, right?
Yeah.
So make sure, right, that it feels authentic. Like because you
Mhm.
liked this, you'll probably like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's
I
a
love
little
that.
It's a little bit like thinking like an algorithm when it brings up other things suggested on your previous activity. It's kind of like that, except obviously it's actually you and you're doing it genuinely and authentically. But it's like that general type of thought process that you want to have, something that's definitely related to what the original
Mm.
conversation was all about.
I want to
So, ne-
acknowledge we've got some comments that we'll
oh
get
yeah,
to at the end. We'll get to them at the end.
yeah,
But
because we've got these things pre-stacked and it's kind
there
of
you
tough
go.
to pop in
Toggle
and out
back
of
and
things.
forth.
So commenters, if you're on the live, we will get to you. It'll just be at the end. Engaging with your existing connections, whom you have been inadvertently, because again, we don't do this stuff on purpose, but you've been ignoring or have just fallen off the radar, or like that type of thing. So we often have members either export their connections or search their first degree connections in LinkedIn to identify who they should be reaching out to, and then reaching out to them. Personally, I think that polls and personalized video messages, which some people think are scary, but they're really not, are great ways to engage. So, what are the templates we might send these folks to start conversations, Bren?
I love that. So taking inventory and engaging with your existing connections starts with either exporting your connections or doing a search, a filter of your first degree connections, which is available in the free LinkedIn. But we have
Hmm.
to identify who is it that we want to vote on that poll or that we want to send a video message or combine the two. There's a few ways that we
Yep.
can do this, right? But from a poll, there's a little send button. It looks like a paper airplane at the bottom of all posts, but the poll, and you can send that to your first degree connections into their inbox and they can vote there. This is the one time I typically don't do permission based. I send the poll, we're asking for a vote. It seems to work well, and people don't necessarily feel spammed. They see it's a poll. So,
Right.
they know immediately. So as a CMO, Bob, as a CMO, I'd love your one-click vote on a poll that I recently posted. Once it closes, I can share the insights I gleaned. And so we've left this open that I'm going to reach out to him once the poll closes to talk to him about how his peers voted, how the other CMOs voted on this. And this gives an opening later on if he votes. If he doesn't vote, we can come back and say, I had mentioned a poll on X, Y, and Z. We had 72 CMOs vote on that. If you are interested in some of those insights, let me know. I'm happy to share them with you, right? And you're going to move it toward conversation. Now, is it in text or is it on video? What we have found consistently is when you send a personal video on the mobile app, you get about a 90% response rate. So you can do a combination of video and poll, or a simple video checking in to see how they are.
Yep.
But still, you want some kind of context,
Yep. Yeah.
right?
Context is good. And automatically, because still so few people use video in messaging on LinkedIn, you're automatically going to stand out. And even though you're not communicating one to one, it's like you're communicating one to one because they see your face, they see your eyes, they know that it's genuine. You should have a much more likely, much more better outcome than just with a text post or a text message. In this case, I should say, yes.
100% agree. And number 5.
Number 5. So permission to name drop. It's probably the fastest way to a conversation. So this actually happens in 2 steps. First, you're going to send a message to your connection asking about the prospect that you want to get in touch with. And then the next one is obviously to the actual prospect with a connection request. So let's take a look at both of those.
Yeah, so let's say I want to get in touch with Bob and I see that Stephen is connected to Bob. So I'm going to reach out to Stephen, and I don't have this written out, but this is my connection. I can text him, I can call him, I can Facebook message him, however or send a message in LinkedIn. Something as simple as, Stephen, I see you're connected to Bob Woods on LinkedIn. Can I ask you, how well do you know him? I'm going to be reaching out to him next week. So if he responds, oh, he's a great guy, I know him so well, depending on my relationship with Stephen, I can either say, here's why I want to reach out. Do you think it makes sense? If I have a good relationship with him, if I have a very tangential, very shallow relationship with him, the English language can be very difficult. If
Yes.
I have a shallow relationship with him, I can just simply say, when I reach out to Bob, should I tell him you said hello? And he says, sure. So now I go, Bob, Stephen and I were chatting on LinkedIn and your name came up. He says hello and recommended we connect, or whatever that might look like. Or he says hello. So be authentic, whatever that communication was back and forth. Make sure you don't say anything that you don't have permission to say. But even the fact that we're saying he says hello completely opens up a credibility, a trust in that connection request. And so you're likely to start a conversation with someone because you have that friend in common.
And also just be sure that you're actually doing this too. I mean, just don't say, well, I think if we had this conversation, he would say this, so just go ahead and send it, because you're actually ruining your reputation
Absolutely.
with two people. So let's just say that the person you didn't reach out to ended up talking with the prospect, and the prospect says, hey, I heard that you talked with Stephen about me, and they're going to go, I
Mhm.
really didn't talk to them about that. You shot down 2 relationships at that point. So be authentic, be genuine.
All right. So I'm going to bring these in. That was great. Let's see. Who are we? We have Evie. Hello. I'm glad you think that's
Yeah,
awesome. We think you're awesome. Jeff, you
absolutely.
should Jeff Young, brilliant, brilliant man. You should always lead with your own voice, Bob and Bryn. You two are great LinkedIn mavens. Dare I say the killer bees? Oh my God, I love that.
We are
Namaste.
stealing that and putting it on a t-shirt with our
I
names. That's
love it.
official.
I love it. I love it.
Numero dos. Yeah, that was thank you, Evie. Gunner
Ah,
always coming in with the absolute golden comments. It's all about being sincere and authentic. Could not agree more.
woohoo. Oh,
Bruce, hey
Bruce.
Bruce, long time no talk to. He discovered this episode because of notification. Notifications when it comes to lives are definitely getting better. I'm noticing more and more of those on LinkedIn too. So yay to LinkedIn on that. Evie says nice little tip. I'm not sure which because that one got stacked. I'm not sure, but thank you for that. Um, Jeff Young
Yeah.
coming in with another great one. Existing connections, follow up with these folks can be a gold mine of opportunities. Could not agree more. Annette
Oh,
doing a little networking with Jeff during
I
the
love it.
live. Love that. That's fantastic. Neil has a good question.
Okay. Any other exceptions beside polls in which you don't ask permission to send? Um,
I'd say probably not. I can't think of any.
that's my well, the video message we're sending, but links, I think that's the only one that I recommend. If I think of another one, I will
Yeah,
let you know.
especially if you're linking to an external source.
Mhm.
If it's like a post, depending on the post, I can maybe see
Okay.
certain
I'm
cases
okay
where it
with
works.
that.
But I mean, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree with you. I agree with you.
yeah. Mhm.
I think if you can share anything native inside of the LinkedIn, so when they open it up, they can see that it's not a spam link or it looks like it's inside
Right.
LinkedIn. I think they're more comfortable with that. That's a great question, Neil, and I think
Yeah, that
Bob
was a
nailed
very
that.
good question. Like that one a lot.
We got a
You
wow,
got a wow. Thank you.
a
Like I said,
greeting. Yep, we
Jeff
got lots
Navy
of
networking.
networking
Love
going on
it.
here.
That's fantastic.
Next is
Kind of a Bryn stalker
thanks, Annette. I
in
appreciate
the
it.
best way possible.
That's awesome. Oh, we got an. Let's see.
Glad
Glad to
thank
watch
you. Thank you,
live. We're
Chris.
happy to
Appreciate
have
that.
you. If I don't know if that is stalking or not, but I love hearing from you too, Jeff. And it's only been 5 years. I feel like I've known you so much longer than that. And then keep in touch with existing connections is always a great thing. So that's
Always.
we agree.
100%.
Bob, I always love this with you. I
This
have
is
so much
fantastic.
fun.
Look forward to this every week. So, thank you again, everyone, for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter right now, we just as I said, we do this every week. So keep an eye out for our live sessions, and hopefully the notifications continue to come through with those too. If you're already listening to us on our podcast and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe or follow. We'd appreciate it so that you can view our previous shows and be alerted to when new ones drop. If you're here the first time and just wondering what the heck this podcast is all about, go to socialsaleslink.com/podcast. We do 2 shows weekly. We do this one, and we also have our Making Sales Social interview series where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more areas. So thanks again for joining us, everyone. We appreciate it. And when you're out and about, be sure to make your sales.
Social. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Bye bye.